Ladies and gentlemen, the Heinl has taken a wild left turn. Dinamo is 8 points off in April with 8 games to go. Richard, I wasn't alive when this last
No, I mean that's just almost insulting me, really, isn't it?
happened. It really is.
Yeah, I was alive.
Actually, maybe I was. No, I was probably. I don't remember how the 2004-2005 season went, but Dinamo was 8 points behind by the time I was born. So, but yeah. So 20
You didn't
years.
remember it.
I mean, I was this big.
Yeah, you weren't just straight out and like, okay, now everything's going.
Hajduk's winning. I hope this continues for my lifetime.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, I need my nappy change.
Oh wait, yeah. Sadly, I started supporting Hajduk in 2014, 2013. I was first shown, like, first taken to a game by my uncle. Yeah, no, not great years. Nope. First ever game was a 0-0 draw, by the way, to split. There were like 5,000 people in the stands, and we drew 0-0.
I mean, it probably set the tone, really, didn't it?
And that really set the tone. And then the next game was losing to Dinamo 4-0.
Definitely set the tone.
The third game lucky, was a win 1-0 when Tudor scored the only goal in like the fourth minute, and then we hung on until the end. But yeah, times have changed. It's 10 years since that win from Tudor. I think was 2015 or 2016. I don't remember. I think it's 15. But it's times have changed. Cannavaro has yeah, no, hasn't been doing great. Hasn't really taken Dinamo on its course as he planned to. Even said a false statement in the press conference before the game against Istra. He was like, Dinamo is first ever since I came here, even though Slaven is actually first since he joined Dinamo. So, Fabio, check the stats before you speak, please.
Yeah.
Check the facts. But yeah, I mean, should we start off with the
Yeah.
Fallen, who are still in it by a thread? But if they lose to Osijek again, which they tend to do this year,
I mean,
could see them fully out.
I think it's a tale of the two absolute worst sides form wise at the minute.
Yeah,
Um, Coming up. I mean, obviously, we'll get to Osijek in a bit and their relegation train. But yeah, I mean, as we know, and we said this, way back in September. What are you doing, sacking Jakirovic?
yeah.
We said that when
After two
Bersa
losses,
came in. Yeah,
after two losses.
we said it straight away when Bersa came in, and hey, guess what? You should have kept the guy on who you sacked, who actually played attacking football, which Bersa sort of tried to transition to his style a bit, but didn't really work.
Yeah,
Cannavaro, there's no goals in this side really. I mean, obviously we look at Sunday quite aside from the overall score, they lost it on XG as well.
yeah.
It's not as if Istra didn't deserve the win or anything like that.
No, I absolutely deserved it.
And I mean, even so, if you go back to the games that they have done okay in, so when they beat Seven, it's 2.75 XG for Dino, but they only scored once. So
And they had a penalty.
yeah, and they were against 10 men the whole time.
And
So
yeah,
there's not been the performance there. I think we sort of knew that would happen because Cannavaro is a defensively minded manager, even beyond what you'd stereotype an Italian defender that won the World Cup as captain being. But
yeah,
yeah, this side's just bad, and I don't see how you really turn away from it because we've had the third time we've had them take on Istra this season, and we said after the first time on the opening day, Istra were good, didn't take chances, could have been something different. Said after the second time, Istra had chances, didn't take them, were a bit closer.
yeah.
This time, Istra did take their chances, and yeah, they took 3 of them.
It was actually the fourth match, not the third one.
Oh.
Yeah, because Istra was the first game of the season
Yeah,
at the Maximum when Dinamo won 5-0. Yeah, and then it was
Yeah.
2-2 at Istra, and then 3-1 win for
Yeah.
when Cannavaro just came in.
yeah. And what has always been Easter have been wasteful this season.
Yeah.
Laval.
Especially
Not-
Fargo Laval. We'll get to the semi-final.
Just
Richard?
that.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. So I mean, for Laval, it's not to say that he's anything clear or anything like that, but he has had trouble converting the chances that he's had.
Yeah.
And that changed this weekend.
It changed this weekend, but yeah, I mean, I said we'll get to it. So let's start off with Dinamo's game against Varaždin last week.
Yes, which was
Well, a week and a half ago for us now.
Mm.
1-1 first half. The Lights decided the electricity at the Vartek Stadium just decided, hey guys, you're not doing anything. Can we just cut it short? And I immediately got a flashback to Inter Zaprešić Lokomotiva like 6 years ago now, where the lights just went out in the middle of the night and you just had black. And the game continued the next day, and I think Lokomotiva won it the next day. So I immediately thought that we would get a postponement to the next day, but thankfully the lights came back on. As Jesus said, as God said, let there be light. There was light. Yeah, I mean, Mitrovsky came in, and I immediately changed the tide of the game and scored like 10 minutes after coming on.
Yeah, and again, with Mitrovsky, he's had a very good start to the season. Not seen too much of him since. Obviously he's had a couple of knocks and stuff, but
Yeah.
he just turns up in good positions without really doing a great deal else. He's just there where he should be.
Yeah.
And puts. I mean, it's obviously it keeps the fourth race open. Or at least keeps Varaždin in it, compared to Safen, who I think absolutely are favourites for it right now, but have other interests in mind as well as we go on through this season.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an interesting quandary for them as to where they place their priorities as we go on. But yeah, Dinamo weren't any good.
No, they really didn't create anything, and Kanga in that match provided nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just provided nothing. Then Petkovic came in and immediately got a penalty, which he scored after Mitrovsky. After like 6 minutes after Mitrovsky scored, Martina takes down Petkovic, and yeah, was it a penalty? Because it looks like because Martina was like, yeah, I didn't want to even talk to the ref, not because I thought it was a clear foul, just because I knew I wouldn't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, he did caught him. He did get him. So I don't really get why people were like, never a foul, because people were comparing it to the Kalik potential penalty against Šibenik, in which you have no clear camera angle that shows you any kind of contact.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's Dinamo, so they're more likely to get it, and I don't mean that in a it's a corrupt way, but just in a big sides do get big decisions, so there's always going to be that sort of leaning towards it, and particularly when it's level in the game. I think that's sort of something subconscious in the refs' minds,
and also because the stadium was mostly Dinamo fans.
Yeah.
That also is always gonna sway. I did like a few years ago, somebody did an analysis. I remember that like 60% of fouls that are like could go either way go always the home side's way, just because of the support, and the refs are obviously not scared, but just it does something to you subconsciously.
Yeah, of course, you react to the noise.
Yeah, and the game finished 1-1. Dinamo, I mean, we can say they got lucky because well, who was it? Was Mamic missed a sitter
Yeah.
in the first half from like 7-8 meters out. Just had the entire goal to shoot and just put it over the bar. And anything else was just not worth of a mention because nothing else really happened.
Mm-hmm. And then we come to
And then we
this
come to
weekend.
Istra.
Yeah.
I mean, Istra this past week has just been on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think so. Obviously, there's an in between which we have to mention in passing first. Obviously, Istra came into this, for those not aware, having, unlike Dinamo, had something to do in midweek, but also
Yeah.
had, not just a game midweek, but one that's decided very late on. So there's a lot of mental energy, physical energy that have been exerted in that cup defeat, and then they come into hosting Dinamo. We know they've not exactly got a great record against them. I think I look back. I think this is only the second time they've scored 3 against Dinamo, and obviously the other time was the cup final when 6 went in the other end. Now, there's a lot of everything really was against them going into this game, but Dinamo didn't turn up.
No, and they turned up. Istra still played pretty much the same way they played against Rijeka in the midweek cup game. Played literally the same way, and they just had Vilekoski and Dario Maresic. I mean, what a pairing of two center backs, and the distance that Koski can bring the ball up is just amazing to me.
Yeah, and I think there was a couple of clips of Maresic where it's actually just exemplifying his passing under pressure, and that is what a lot of clubs are looking for in their centre back, to be able not only to draw your defender, to draw the presser in, but also draw it close enough so you're creating a gap to basically just make a simple vertical pass, but to execute that well. That is no easy skill, and he was doing it for fun.
Yeah, and he can turn his body so much so that he can make a great pass. Meanwhile, he has somebody running behind his back, and he can turn it and pass it to somebody that's just a little bit off, so he can make that pass and just make so much space. There was a similar. It was a clip I saw. I mean, that I saw after the Osijek match, which I didn't realize how much he can actually turn his body to make a pass, which is just amazing. And I mean, just the rest of the squad, Mauric, amazing. The in the match against Dinamo, everybody was on top. Everybody was just running circles around Dinamo.
Yeah, and obviously Blanchard takes the blows with a double.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, there's a lot on Dinamo that didn't work. I think RPG was all right, but he was about the only defender who had an okay game for Dinamo.
Yeah. The attack, I think only Stojkovic was the only one that I could see doing anything.
Yeah.
Piazza was probably the worst alongside Kulenovic, and Baturina again just needs a rest. Just give the man a little bit of rest because he's just been playing 90 minutes every game.
Yeah, and we said it before, he's knackered.
Yeah.
And even just the winter break was not enough for him to get over that, because I think quite aside from anything, he's carrying that team on his shoulders from a mental perspective, and again that is impacting him.
I mean, yeah, especially when Petkovic isn't there.
Yeah, what he needs, I mean, obviously he will leave this summer, but what he needs is to go to, and I make no apologies for using this particular club because I know you like them, West Ham, where there's not.
Oh God! Don't no.
There's no pressure of winning things.
No, there is no pressure. The problem I have with West Ham, when Vlasic got brought in, I was so happy. I looked forward so much. I was this close to buying a shirt with Vlasic on it, but I was like, let me wait this out. Because if I buy a shirt, it is very likely under Moyes that Vlasic could just not be used correctly, which
Hmm.
was exactly what happened. Vlasic was mostly on the wings,
Yeah.
which just doesn't suit, and especially with West Ham, who has the money to buy actual wingers at that time. But yeah, Vlasic is
So
doing well
is
in
there
Torino,
is
though.
it is it there collecting dust in the back of your wardrobe alongside your Orsic Southampton shirt?
I don't have an Ocean Southampton shirt. The only shirt I'm never gonna wear again is Perisic, the Hajduk shirt. So yeah, no, thank you. But yeah, the problem I have with West Ham, I mean, Potter is obviously in charge right now, so
Yes.
we'll see. Because I think a rebuild is definitely gonna happen this summer. Because this, like what I've seen from West Ham, I haven't watched a single game, sadly, just because I can't be bothered to. I just see the results and I'm just like, I don't think this is fun to watch. And for like one half, Potter is trying to like implement his own tactic, and then in the second half, because the result has gone bad, just switches back to the standard what West Ham has been using in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think next season, if Baturna fits that Potter tactics, I would love to see him in the Prem, but I still think that the Prem for our players, like the immediate jump, is just cursed.
Yeah. But I sort of my comparative was I say just as sort of that mental aspect is if you're in that sort of side, let's be honest, mid
Yeah,
table, middle, you don't have the same sort of pressure as is expected of him at Dinamo, and it sort of takes that mental weight off him, and which he has unfortunately sagged under this season, but
yeah,
Istra just do Istra, and they're so physical. And when you're playing Ademi Misic, again they are
yeah,
not that they're not physical players, not that they won't run all day and give you a good level of work rate, but they also are much slower than
yeah,
anything Istra can put at them. So you sort of have this physical mismatch. Um, and that's sort of why, so I'd say RPG was probably the only one who really came out of the defence with any credit, because none of them could keep up with the speed of the play. And you have, Gagba there as a central to occupy a central defender to pull space. So, like I say, Lisic, Rosic, can just go into channels
yeah.
and exploit as much as they can.
And oh boy, did they exploit!
Oh yeah.
Oh boy, did they! And another player that only, like along Stojkovic RPG, the only other one that came out as a positive was in Boku, who just
Mhm.
came in the second half as a halftime substitution for Piazza, because Piazza was dreadful, as I mentioned.
Mhm.
He just came in and was just the only one attack that really seemed to care.
Yeah, I just you couldn't see a tactic. I think that's the
There were no tactics, yeah.
yeah.
Especially when Petkovic got brought on, then Kulenovic. They basically had a like two strikers
Mhm.
after Kanga came in for
Yeah,
Baturna, because Petkovic replaced Kulenovic. So when Kanga got brought in, it was just trying to save, just try to pump the ball up and try to keep it with Kanga and Petkovic up front. But
yeah,
that didn't obviously work.
yeah. Because you probably Kalanovic isn't in form. So we saw how excellent he was when he was in form. Um, and if he hadn't had a good 6 weeks or so in the autumn where he was just doing it game
Yeah,
in game out, then Dinamo would be much further back.
yeah,
But those days are 4-5 months ago now. Petkovic has never been able to get a run of games this season to get any form, and Kanga hasn't shown it.
Kanga, yeah,
Yeah, he just
Kanga,
hasn't shown it.
yeah, and I mean, What was I gonna say? I mean, Petko is just still coming off an injury, and I mean, Cannavaro is, I think, just generally. I mean, it's the kind of the same thing as Livaya last season, where he's just like, I want to be in the match, but like, I think the coach has to step in and just say, hey, recover, and then you can actually be in the match for the full 90 and be fully ready.
Yeah,
Otherwise, injections have to are needed, and it obviously just worsens the fitness levels and the quality that Petkovic can produce.
although at this point, if you kind of are, you kind of need to start him if you want to keep. Well, I say if you want to keep your job. Um,
That,
we'll
no,
leave that for a minute.
the job's gone.
Yeah.
the job. Zayat today held an interview not that long ago for Jutarnji List, and he's essentially said that we're just waiting for a new sporting director. We have two people in the running, and we'll know in 2 days. And then after that, Cannavaro is gonna lead the game against Osijek, and after that, we're gonna listen to the sporting director, whoever it is, and he's gonna choose the next man.
Yeah.
So he's gone.
Yes.
Interesting fact for those who haven't seen it: the last time Dinamo had a foreign manager, Ivailo Petev, they lost. They lost the title to Rijeka. So good tip for Dinamo: don't bring in foreigners. Not to be xenophobic, racist, just for some reason it just doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say for better if he had just weird ideas of where people should play. I think was the
Yeah,
remembering what the issue was. But I mean, it's been one half of the season defined by injury and one half of the season defined by not having any form.
yeah,
For them, unfortunately for them, and even still, there's so much attacking talent they could stick out there and just actually steamroll sides. But Cannavaro doesn't want to do that. He's not that sort of manager, and I just don't know what they were thinking of in terms of appointing him in the first place. I think that's the overarching thought is what was your plan here anyway?
yeah. I think that the Yakirovic sacking was just too fast on the trigger. Same thing as for Hajduk with Dabrowskas, like what 3 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just too fast on the trigger. So and it's really came back, and oh my god, the light.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get it right because it's just the
Yeah,
sun's just sort of going into a bad place.
yeah. Excuse Richard, ladies and gentlemen, he's just not used to the sun, which I mean, fair enough.
I mean, to be fair, I am at least about 5 or 6 shades darker than my wife, who is just she's like Casper, full ghost.
Goddamn.
Yeah, it's either brilliant white or lobster, and she doesn't really have an in between. Whereas I actually have skin that occasionally tans.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyways, back on track. Aside from Casper and his and his ghostly friends, does Dinamo still have a chance at the title? 8 points behind Hajduk, 7 points behind Rijeka, 8 games to go.
In all sense, no. But this season has not been sensible.
No, not at all.
And that's about as much as you can really say about it. I would say they've probably got as much chance of winning the title as they do of finishing fourth with Slaven Bilic overtaking. Because it's the same point. It's the same point.
It's the same point difference. It's the same point difference.
It's the same points gap, and Slaven are actually in form.
Yeah.
So, you can see that. I don't want to say you can see it happening. That would be just ridiculous. But
it's not that far off from actually happening.
Yeah,
it's not ridiculous to think that.
Yeah, it's not for Dinamo to win the title. You've got 24 points left. They need to get 20.
I would say even 21.
Yeah,
and they can afford to lose one match, and that's it.
Yeah, and even then, the matches they can't afford to lose are obviously Hajduk and Rijeka. So
yeah,
if you get, let's say, 20 points, you're dropping 2 draws here or there. So you're looking at really Rijeka to lose 7, Hajduk to lose 7, whatever. And then I don't think that's out with the realms of possibility for Rijeka and Hajduk to both go from here to the end of the season and only pick up another 15 points.
Yeah. And I think the main problem is against Osijek, Cannavaro will still be in charge, so you won't get that like new manager bounce possibly. So
But it's
that's
Osijek.
It's Osijek, but at the same time, it's Osijek.
Yeah.
It's Osijek. Hey, we kind of lost to them the last 2 times, so please, guys, get your shit together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Matteo Pukšar, the commentator for Osijek Šibenik this weekend, called the game an El Depresico, and I think that's moved onto this match against Dinamo and Osijek. Both teams just not where they want to be or where they even pictured themselves at the start of the season.
Yeah, I think they did similar over here for a game they call it El Crapico.
El Crapico, yeah.
And just, I mean, firstly, football commentators, if you are doing that, you are terrible human beings. It's El Clasico, just leave it. You don't need to make a pun, you don't need to make a joke, you just leave it there.
And I hate when people call the eternal derby between Hajduk and Dinamo El Croatico.
Yeah.
Like El Depresico, okay, I get that. Like like you're just doing it for the laugh, but like El Croatico, who's like trying to make it seriously, I'm just like, guys, please, let's not.
If you wanted to speak Spanish, you'd move.
Go in Spain.
Yeah,
it's exactly. Croatia, please.
But yeah, I mean, well, I suppose it probably makes sense at this juncture then just to talk about Osijek Šibenik because, oh my god, I mean, Osijek, if they perform like that between here and the end of the season, they will not be in this league next season.
No, there's no way. If they continue this, there's no way. Rosman hasn't obviously seemed to get that balance, and obviously the semi-final loss that gets stole because you get it to penalties against Slaven, and then you lose. Mm-hmm. And you were up front, and then Hernani and who else missed the penalty?
It
was Hernani and my god,
it was Hernani and Soldo.
Yeah. But like Hernani was like the main one because he missed it, so then Boras got a chance to win it. And I mean, Hernani obviously has experience, is possibly the most experienced player on the squad.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Šibenik game that really struck me was they could not defend their own box.
No.
That's scary.
It's very scary, and we're getting a dog intermission who's obviously also not happy about Osijek's performances. But yeah, I mean, to cover the Šibenik match, I mean, God, like Šibenik has never looked this good. Like this season, they just haven't looked this good ever, and they only have 6 wins, counting this one. And I don't remember a single time Šibenik was like this dominant, because every other win was just on edge.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was all at the start of the season, really. Their form, and then like you say, 6 wins, and they probably only had about 6 weeks' pay as well.
The president said that they're getting their pay, so hopefully that's true. But the track record says differently.
It's not great now. But I mean, I suppose there's 2 things. Obviously, one, the score, but also it's only ex-Osijek players that scored against them.
That scored, yeah.
I think it's fair to say for Gierjan, was one who didn't have a great time there, wasn't really used the best. Santini, it was quite predictable that he wouldn't have a good time at Osijek. But, let's be honest, as a backup striker, they've never really replaced that with that sort of player, because you're bringing in Ademi, who has done what this season? not a lot of anything.
He just hasn't played. He played a few games at the start of the season, and then got injured, I think.
Yeah,
and
but
now has come back and is still not doing anything.
yeah, I mean, there was lots of things to absolutely love about Simic's performance. I think first and foremost, at the penalty, Morrison. I don't know if you've caught this. You see Santini step up, and Morrison's already just outside the box, arms in the air, celebrating. Before he's even started the run up, he's already arms in the air.
You know what? Then... Wait. Let me try and find it, because I didn't notice that. The confidence you must have in Santini.
In Santini.
Yeah, he also started walking off. What? I didn't notice that. Santini hasn't even started his run, but he's already celebrating running off.
Yeah. I mean,
imagine being Malenica and seeing that, and you're just like, what the?
It would certainly put you off, wouldn't it?
Yeah. if everybody else from Šibenik did it just like at the box, ready for the run up, like, you know, in a starting running position, then you just like, as soon as the ref blows the whistle, you're just like, yeah. And you start walking off.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been obviously much better had Santini missed.
It would have been so much.
Let's be honest, but yeah, I mean, that's it. You know, that obviously that particular situation came from, you know, again, Osijek couldn't defend their own box.
After a corner, and Jelenic's hand was just way too out.
Yeah, and you know, they had 2-3 chances to clear that. I think it was the last goal was the same. You know, again, it comes in, you have 2 or 3 chances to clear it, not cleared, back in the net. And there's not the organisation, there's not the communication, there's not anything that needs to be there. That you know, defensively, they're just bereft of being defenders.
And the last goal, where Osijek have a corner, bring it in, and then obviously, since everybody's up front, Šibenik gets it up, and Gržić just wide through, and Jurisic just singling at the assistant referee with his hand, offside. Gržić was like a good, but he was like a good 10 meters inside his half.
Exactly.
When it received that pass, and I'm like, you were right there. You were like looking when the pass was made and running behind Gržić in his own box, not Osijek's box. Your half, actually, inside Šibenik's half. So somebody needs to, you know, check up on the rules.
And I mean, obviously, how this sort of bears for Osijek for Rosman is, I mean, it's a scary result. I don't think.
I mean, 4-1 against the last team in the league.
Yeah, I mean, you can say sort of, okay, you know, they're galvanising because of the situation at the club. You know, they've got togetherness, this, that, and the other. Well, what do Osijek have? They don't have any togetherness. It doesn't seem, you know.
No.
And I think the other problem is, you know, this performance wouldn't have happened under Copatelli.
No, no, there's no way.
And I know, see, I wasn't a big fan of the appointment of Rosman in the first place in terms of how his career has gone since Rijeka. In sort of terms of what he did at Maribor. And, you know, obviously, sorry, everything didn't go great for other reasons, but this is a low. You look at sort of the ratings, says Malenica didn't have a good game. You know, how many times do you ever see Malenica not have a decent game? He had an okay game. He was just beaten 4 times fairly. Just there was nothing there in the rest of that squad, and you would look at them and be like, okay, they've got Dinamo next, and let's say the record this season against Dinamo is good, but at the same time, yeah, having just had the result they've had, do you want to be facing a hurting Dinamo? Absolutely not. No. Then you've got Gorica, and that
it's a Dinamo side that has nothing to lose.
Yeah,
and they're like, if they don't win against Osijek, that's like 100% it for the title.
Exactly, and the following week is Gorica, but then the following 2 weeks after that are Rijeka away and
And
hosting
Hajduk.
Hajduk. So,
Yeah.
If it's not got together quickly, you could be talking about if they get 1 point out of these next 4 games, let's say against Gorica, well, then they're in it. They are right in relegation trouble because
I mean, they don't even need to get a point against Gorica. Let's just say they get a point, Dinamo, Rijeka, or Hajduk, but they lose to Gorica. You're in it. If you lose a match to Gorica, you're in it. You're just 3 points at that point, 4 points off. Depends on what Šibenik get.
yeah, and for Gorica for Šibenik, their next little run of games aren't as bad. Obviously for Šibenik, your last 3 games goes Rijeka, Istra, Hajduk. That's not
Hajduk.
a nice way to end the season. For Gorica, say it ends Hajduk, Slaven, Lokomotiva. That's better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Osijek are in trouble.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? So I think we did an episode after Osijek won against Dinamo in the cup, and then they lost or drew after beating Dinamo. They lost to Slaven afterwards. Yeah. And if a team isn't able to get together after a big win in the cup against Dinamo,
how are you getting together after a big loss?
How are you gonna get together after a 4-1 loss to Šibenik under a new manager who obviously hasn't gotten any kind of upside from his players? Like, he hasn't gotten anybody to perform better than they have before.
No,
it's still the same Osijek squad, just performing worse.
And unlike under Copitelli, performing worse and not winning.
Yeah. Under Copitelli, they would have at least played something. They wouldn't have been just Šibenik on the ball 24/7 and just putting 4 past, especially in the second half.
Yeah. But I mean, for Šibenik, is this the start of them staying up? I don't know.
I mean, it's just 1 point, and they've only lost 1 game in the last 4.
Yeah.
And Gorica hasn't won in a while, also.
They haven't, but at the same time, they've not been getting bad results, really.
No, Gorica have been getting draws here and there. Yeah.
Yeah. They're close against Hajduk. They've got a few, not necessarily players back, but obviously Pajaziti's back. Seg is there, is in the squad, and if you're getting a point, this past weekend, a point away to Barasine, that's a decent result.
Yeah. Gorica's last win was against Šibenik.
There we go.
Yeah.
I think 3 weeks time. I think they face off.
I think so. Yeah. Gorica's next game. So Gorica's schedule goes Istra, Osijek, Dinamo, and then it's Šibenik. Yeah. So, and then afterwards you have Rijeka, Hajduk, Slaven, and Lokomotiva. Which, I mean, Slaven and Lokomotiva at the end of the season. Lokomotiva is probably just gonna be the team just finishes 7th and just not fighting for anything.
Yeah, obviously by then you expect Slaven's stuff to be sorted. You're probably playing, let's be honest, guys on the holidays.
Yeah. Anything else to mention about the relegation race, Osijek? Have we covered everything? I think.
Well, I suppose who do you think it will be?
Who's gonna go down?
Who's gonna go down?
Oh God. I mean, I'm very thankful that this season, we especially at this point, we have everybody fighting for something. Okay, Dinamo is still fighting for the title. Lokomotiva is the only one that we can say they're safe, and they're now really in the European race for 4th place because they have 3 teams above them, and all 3 teams have been performing better the entire season. So I think Lokomotiva is the only one that's that's gonna be just nowhere and for the until the end of the season unless they can catch some form now.
Mm.
But who's gonna go down? I don't want Osijek to go down because uh, just because they have money, uh, and the quality is there. They have so much quality that you just need a manager who can get that out of the players. And just, I mean, the board just needs to react and just actually start caring about the club because some appointments have obviously not been great. And I still think Šibenik. It's the obvious answers, but like I don't see Gorica going down under Tsarevic because he's been actually like getting not getting results, but like been so close to getting a great result against the big team. It just hasn't. Meanwhile, Šibenik have just at times looked very poor, and the win against Istra, for example, was just barely. It's just looked not they they just don't have what I think they need to have to stay up.
Mhm.
And I think Osijek will. I think if you get 2 wins, you're pretty much safe, and a few draws here and there, you're safe.
Yeah, and I think the sort of the reason sort of say about Osijek is because I don't think I've seen a side perform that badly
Yeah,
this season. Like say, Civic have good days and bad days. They don't have too many in between days. Gorica have too many in between days. They don't
days.
have
Yeah,
enough good days. But none of them have really put in that level of bad
yeah,
a performance as Osijek did this past weekend, and that automatically you sort of tend to be like, okay, well actually that's quite a hard mentality to break. It's quite a hard trough to get out of. And quite aside from that, you also put the spark into Šibenik. I think
yeah,
if Osijek had won that 1-0 or whatever, we wouldn't be having a conversation. We'd both say Šibenik, that's it. Can't see him getting 4 points
yeah,
back to Gorica. You can absolutely now. I think that's possibly the interesting thing. Osijek are the team who you could see having a terrible run of form between here and the end of the season.
yeah,
Gorica will carry on just getting a point here and there, maybe 3. And Šibenik will lose, win, lose, win, lose, win. So they're quite evenly matched in terms of how they may get their points.
yeah.
Obviously, if Osijek sort it out, then they will. There's as you say, there's absolutely far too much quality in that side for them to be 8th. Never mind for them to be thinking, "Oh God, we
Yeah,
might
but
get
be
relegated
10th
here."
and get relegated. Yeah,
Yeah, and even I think if they had just stayed Copatelli, they probably wouldn't be looking over their shoulder. Because as we sort of said, just after he went, he did not do a bad job. It
yeah,
just for whatever reason, it just didn't work.
yeah. It's
Rosman
just
comes in. I don't think his CV over the past few years justifies having as high profile a role
as yeah,
as Osijek. I think it's fair. If he come in at Gorica, if you come in as Šibenik, you'd be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. At Osijek, no, it doesn't. And when you think sort of before the event, you're like, oh, we're talking with Sopic, we're talking with, and we're bringing Rosman.
yeah.
That's
Stoppage is doing well in Poland though.
yeah.
At Vigiev Lodge, I think that's how you pronounce it. But he's gotten 2 wins, and has been giving some very fruity team talks to his players in Croatian, a bit of Polish, and a bit of English. So yeah. What was I? Let's shortly talk about the semifinals
Mm.
of the cup. So obviously the first one was on Wednesday. Last Wednesday was Osijek Slaven at Koprivnica, and I mean the game itself had a few chances here and there, but ultimately went to penalties, as we mentioned already. Hernani Solda missed there once. Malenica saved. Whose penalties was
Shuto.
it? And yeah, Shuto's penalty to give Osijek the early advantage, which they didn't use. And I mean, Yeah, Hernani, as I said, probably the most experienced, and then we head to Marco Boras, who's probably the most inexperienced in taking penalties, and just like Harry Maguire puts a top in.
Yeah, as we all expected. I think I'll just also just bring one very quick point from that because we've not mentioned Sevens this weekend. Obviously, we will do, but
Yeah,
you sort of look at the sides compared. Osijek didn't rotate. Seven did this
yeah,
weekend. You would expect Osijek as the team with more depth and they say more budgets and so on and so forth to be right. Okay, we've done 120 minutes. We've not won. We've lost on penalties. People are down. Swap a couple of people out for
yeah. But
energy.
they also had a
Those had the
day
extra
more of
day.
rest.
Yeah,
They had a day more of rest.
but yeah, it's just an interesting
Yeah,
thing to do in terms of the approaches there.
yeah. But also you gotta see that. Osijek traveled a long time this past week. Meanwhile, Slaven would just had 3 straight home games. So,
Yeah,
but obviously the day less makes you especially when you play 120 minutes against Osijek, you're definitely gonna wear yourself out, and you don't want to risk just if you had to choose, would you rather have like Gurgic and everybody else like a starting player play in the first half or the second half against Hajduk? You probably want the second half and hoping you can stick it out in the first half.
yeah,
But yeah, it's essentially the first semifinal. Not a lot to talk about, just because there wasn't much going on. But the second game, Rijeka got through, and Jalovic said Rijeka deserved it. Everybody else, especially Tony Fruk, essentially just a few minutes before Jalovic had this press conference, said, "Yeah, we got absolutely dominated. We got a bit lucky."
Mhm.
So yeah, Istra absolutely dominated. How they didn't get a goal is a big question mark for Fagolaval, especially. Uh, but they had so many chances. Hit the post once, I think,
Mhm.
and everything else was just wide of the target.
Yeah. Which has been the story of their season until
Yeah, until
until they
this
until
until
they
this
watched the game
weekend.
back and were like, wait a minute, why don't I just hit the goal rather than put it wide? Oh.
Yeah, why don't I look up before I shoot so I can see where it goes? Oh, guys, we're playing against Dinamo. I think we should work on our finishing this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and then sadly for Istra, Maurice Valencic just misplaces a pass, like just judges the power he needs to put on it very badly, and Fruk takes it and just does what Fruk does by the looks of it after getting a call up, and just takes the game by the scruff of its neck and just wins it for his team.
Yeah, and you can't litigate for that error,
Yeah,
but at the same time, then he comes back this weekend and has a great performance. So
yeah.
you know
He had a great
it's learned
performance in
from.
that game, nonetheless.
Yeah,
He was great against Rijeka, nonetheless. Just that mistake obviously cost the game. But
yeah, no,
yeah,
and you saw it straight away, sort of from his reaction. Just like
yeah,
it's not just knowing that you've made the mistake; it's also knowing, okay, actually, I've thrown away the game here.
yeah, and you've thrown out a huge chance for Istra to get European football without needing to finish fourth,
Yeah,
and potentially a trophy, obviously, which neither Istra or nor Slaven have won it. So it would have been a great final, but it's Rijeka's 10th final,
mm-hmm.
and Slaven's third. Well, finals, because we're
Yeah,
the only ones in UEFA alongside Bosnia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, that have two-legged finals for some reason. At least we don't have the away goals rule. Somebody remember to take that out.
but it will be a very, very interesting final. I think it's fair to say, particularly, like say, with the ramifications at the top of the table, but also with just Southern looking to be fourth as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously it comes, you have the first leg then well, they faced each other 3 times in the last 4 games of the season.
Yeah,
And Rijeka's other one is Hajduk.
yeah, and
Now,
it's right after the first leg,
yeah,
so they're gonna have to travel to Koprivnica and then to Split,
yeah. So if you're
which is definitely gonna make it a lot tougher if the game in Split is a title decider, which it could very well be if it
yeah,
continues to be this close.
oh exactly. If you're Slaven and you're 4 points ahead of fifth at that point, you just go all in on the cup, and last
Yeah,
2 games don't matter really.
I think you just go in all in the cup, no matter what you are in the league. Just
Mhm.
because if you win it, you get European football and you get a trophy, which Slaven has never had, and in the top in the top two competitions of Croatian football.
Yeah, it's just a difficult one because, like you say, if fourth is still up for grabs, then whatever happens in the first leg, really the actual cup final of the season is the last game against
Yeah,
Rijeka, because you can secure European football no matter what in that, and
yeah,
then the actual second leg of the cup final is just it's a formality to get through. You've already got Europe. If you get
yeah,
a cup, that's great, but so it's one of those really going to very much depend on the maths of the thing. Um, because if Rijeka have to go, okay, we need to win all 4 games. That's going to be a very, as we saw last season, that's a very tough thing mentally for them to be able to shoulder.
yeah.
And
And
Slaven can take advantage at some point.
yeah, and last season we saw that Rijeka just couldn't do it. They just ran out of just a mental strength because
Mhm.
fighting for two things after being down in the dumps the season before and getting brought back and just going like from two very opposite ends from being last with like what 12 games under Cosmic Dad was
Mhm.
to fighting for the title and the cup for a double crown. I mean, it took a toll, especially after losing to Dinamo in the way they did
Mhm.
in the league match, and then afterwards just playing out the rest of the season, just like, hey, but wait, we still have the cup final, and it wasn't really. And the fact it's 2 games, it takes more of a toll because it's like even if we win the first leg, you still have the second to play, and nothing's over.
Mhm. Yeah. So have
And
just the
I
one like his final.
just have what happened in the minds of our federation? Like, I still don't get it. Last season, you get Opus Arena, the newest stadium in Croatia, and the perfect place to host a final and be like, hey, this is a day where so it was Dinamo and Rijeka. You get Dinamo and
Mhm.
Rijeka fans into Osijek, have a day of football at the new stadium, and it's just great because it's something to look forward to. It's a great stadium, modern stadium, and it's like, hey, this is what's next. And then we have the new Kranjčevićeva getting renovated, and we have the Maksimir coming, and uh, I mean, Poljud is also going to get renovated, but not that much, just the roof mainly.
And I mean, on top of that, if it was just the one leg at the end of the season after the final game, it doesn't interfere with the league, which this
Yeah,
is
which
going to big
this
time.
is big time, especially for Rijeka. Imagine if you're in a title fight and then you have to play and you want the cup. Like, there's nobody in Rijeka, especially the fans, that doesn't want a hand on the Rabozinova Sunce on the cup.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to have the cup and the league. None of the players are going to be like, "Hey, let's not play the cup. Let's focus on the Hajduk match." Everybody's obviously going to want to go to Koprivnica and get a 2-0 win and essentially just run Sloan Beluparov in the first leg, but that's going to take a toll, obviously. And then you have to travel from Koprivnica to Split.
Mhm.
And Hajduk is going to have zero what's the
Compassion.
word? Yeah, they're gonna have no match. They're gonna have no duties. They're just
Mhm.
gonna have they have a whole week to prepare for you. Meanwhile, you only have 3-4 days to prepare for Hajduk.
Yeah, it's 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 an added wrinkle into it, isn't it? As
Yeah,
to how.
we'll see if Rijeka can do it mentally and physically. That's the main thing. But the problem is they don't have the depth, which we mentioned.
No, they don't. But I mean, even like you say, with rotating this past weekend, they were able to put forward a good performance,
Yeah,
which leads nicely into Slaven
which
Liverpool nil,
leads
Hajduk
nicely.
1.
Yeah. So I mean, Slaven. I mean, yeah, they as you mentioned, they rotated a bit because obviously playing so closely the three games inside essentially 7 days is takes a big toll. And Hajduk came there, played a great first half, I think, like a very good half of football from Hajduk.
Hmm.
Uh, just, what was it, the 6th or 7th minute? Brajkovic goes one on one, just has the whole goal to aim at, and just scuffs the shot and just sends it so far wide.
Hmm.
And then Levi obviously forces a massive save from Sushak, which who tips it up to the bar, and then Nestorovsky fails to hit the ball and ends up on his arm.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's not really much doubt in terms of sort of Hajduk's performance. That they earned it, particularly in the first half. But at the same time, like I say, I mean, we talk about handballs enough, don't we?
It's just the amount of handballs this season. I've given up. I just watched that and I'm like, it touches his hand, but at this point, that doesn't mean shit.
No,
Like you can touch your hand multiple times and it just doesn't mean anything.
but
As a viewer, we're never gonna have like, oh yeah, that's a handball.
no. And then sort of the second half, once you've got that lead, then you have to defend it.
And Hajduk defended it perfectly. Slaven didn't get really any kind of chance.
No, I think like you say, sort of how Crash's game plan worked in respect that the people who came in all had decent days, and you obviously rotate the midfield, and
Yeah,
Akpon, who feels like I haven't seen or talked about him for a while, comes in and
yeah.
just yeah, he's good. When he's not conceding stupid fouls, he's a very good player.
He's actually very good when he doesn't come in, come sliding into everybody.
Yeah,
Could you imagine?
yeah. It's just I think where the difference came was that maybe it's a fatigue issue, maybe it's just a quality issue. Is that Savin didn't get Kamkov or Shuttle really doing much of anything,
Yeah,
and while you have that good centre, if you're able to get around it,
yeah.
then it's always going to be difficult to get a result.
Yeah, and another thing I want to say, obviously, we can also move back to the Šibenik match, which is, I mean, not a similar story, but still 1-0 win through for a set piece from Imarakic, who just beautifully puts it away from a free kick. Nazari Rusin played a big role in both matches.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously been. I still don't get why he hasn't played more, especially after watching him play when he first came in against Lokomotiva, for example, when he assisted Livaya in our loss, where he can just play with both feet. He makes a fake shot with his right, crosses in with his left. He can just do it all, and just the amount of runs he does in
Mm-hmm.
behind the defenses.
Yeah, I think the thing is,
And
he's very much a support player.
yeah, and
Um,
fits Livaya perfectly.
yeah, it fits the value perfectly, but it doesn't necessarily fit every task
Yeah,
perfectly.
no,
If that
not every
makes sense.
task, but I also like how defensively good he is, and just does his job defensively. Like Rakitic goes a bit far, and obviously at his age can really run fast. Meanwhile, Rusin is in his prime age and just covers for him, even though he should be. And what we do is like a 4-4-2
Mm-hmm.
in defense, where we kind of, if we're gonna push, then it's gonna be a 4-4 if we're playing against the four in the back. if the two wingers push up. But he's essentially just there to be with Levi and be like Kalik, what Kalik has been this entire season, just the runner. Meanwhile, Levi just stands there and blocks a passing lane.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good role to have. I mean, I think you'd be. Because that's obviously the issue you've had over years is that
Yeah,
it's always been Levi and no one else. But having someone who complements Levi, but also probably by complementing Levi takes a little bit away from as you mentioned Brajkovic, but also Shago as
yeah,
well, just in terms of taking areas that they might want to run into, and just sort of maybe occupying spaces you could also occupy with your wingers from an attacking sense. But he's made a better list of it than most.
yeah.
That the most Hajduk attacking options have over the past Levia years.
Yeah, but the main talking point in the two matches I have in the second goal against Šibenik, which wasn't given because of just the most narrow offside, if it is offside even. But the ref say it is, and I'm gonna agree with them because we have no better thing to go off.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else is gonna draw the lines perfectly, especially with our VAR system, which only has four cameras. Some bigger stadiums a bit more, but doesn't really mean anything because they're all at from the same stand. So you
Yep.
don't have anything on the opposite end. So in that second goal against Šibenik, Rusin just so fast makes two same runs inside like 5-6 seconds. And obviously the first one was offside, so sadly Rakitic's goal didn't stand. But the amount of and the run he made against Slaven led to the corner from which we got the penalty off of.
Mm-hmm.
And Rakitic will definitely enjoy Rusin's runs in behind because he can just find them very nicely as he did against Slaven
Yeah,
and
and you
against
need
Šibenik.
exactly. You need someone to direct stuff to,
Yeah,
and having a target man has never really worked for Hajduk for whatever reason. So go for the runners.
yeah. And what else? I mean, Putpic had a very nice game against Slaven, just very mature. And just in general, I think Hajduk's defense needed this, like a few runs where you just are very solid and just don't make mistake after Purpic just lost you the game against, well, not necessarily lost you the game against Rijeka, but put you on the back foot both times in both games. And obviously and against Dinamo also with a mistake for the second goal from RPG. We just needed this to like be defensively solid for a bit, and now I think Hajduk can definitely look forward to Lokomotiva. And Lokomotiva, as I mentioned, is in that in between zone where they're not really fighting for anything unless they can put up some great form now and close up to the top teams.
Yeah,
So it's a team you definitely want to play right now.
yeah,
Out of all considered.
and I think on top of that, Lokomotiva don't really have much up front. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, especially after Shabraya left now, it's Ferencina is just there temporarily, so he's not really, in there for the long term.
Yeah, and I think even sort of seeing the past few performances, Madrazi has dropped off.
Yeah.
Get your Dinamo deal, then just drop off. So I think it's a good time to meet Lokomotiva. Like you say, they've got not a lot to play for. They might, again, if they hit a bad run, then they might have to look over the shoulder, but they'll be okay because they're Lokomotiva, they always are. And even when we say they've not got loads about them at the minute, they still came close to getting a result against Rijeka.
Yeah, it was very close. Nice segue, by the way. I mean, Fruk, as I mentioned against Istra, he just grabs the game by the scruff of the neck and decides it for Rijeka. That seems to be what's happening at Rijeka right now. Like nobody else can really step up except him. Ever since getting the call up, he's just been performing and just leading Rijeka as a captain,
Yeah, and I think
even though he's not a captain.
I think it's one of those where it looks a simple finish. It's an
No,
outstanding finish.
no.
It's an
To catch
outstanding finish.
to catch that ball from so high up and judge it perfectly, amazing. Same thing as Levia's goal against Dinamo.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just
Yeah, in the first derby of the season, just
yeah.
to catch it and put it to the far post, to the far side netting is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean the amount of spin that will have been on that,
Yeah.
it was such a difficult thing to control, and yeah, like you say, just put away. It makes it look easy, which is why you sort of say it looks like a simple finish. And I think
No.
I think there's a lot of people probably like, oh right, okay, well he's sort of kind of 8 yards out and just putting it into the opposite corner. What's so complicated about that? Well, yeah,
No.
he was spinning like mad and
Yeah.
over his shoulder. That's what was so
And
difficult about that.
and you still need to hit it. I think
Yeah.
most of us, I know myself, I would whiff that. I would make a 180-degree turn and fall on the ground if I tried that. But yeah, I mean, just Rijeka didn't look convincing again, but it's they got the win. So at this point, the way you get a win is not important. If you get the 3 points, you get the 3 points. Nobody's gonna ask you how you won the title, especially if you're Rijeka or Hajduk, because you're gonna end Dynamo's run once again of winning the titles, and nobody's gonna ask you how you did it. Just important that you did it, and you get a chance at Champions League football.
Exactly, and yeah, ultimately that's the only way you can build on winning a title is by having access to that amount of money.
I mean, for Hajduk, for example, it's just the matter of getting into Europe, for which you just need to win one round over 2 legs. You just need to be one team over 2 legs, and you have European football. For Hajduk, just needs European football. That just any kind of income from European football, even if it's the Conference League, the few million you get from that, it's still big.
I mean, Hajduk will find a way to mess that up. We know that, but yeah,
I mean, if we win the title and we don't get into Europe, I'm gonna be surprised at all.
I mean,
it would actually be the most Hajduk thing to do after winning a title.
Yeah, it might even be interesting. We sort of see Dinamo not in a group stage.
I mean, yeah, you would kind of bet on it for them to get into it, but God knows what's going to happen this summer at Dinamo.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously their coefficient will be better than everyone in it.
Yeah, they're going to get easier opponents.
Yeah,
they're going to get easier opponents in the Conference League, because I don't think they're getting Europa League football if they don't win the title. I don't think they're going to be second.
No, and I mean, for them to do that, they'd need Rijeka to win Double Crown, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably not a possibility. But like you say, I mean, Rijeka's issue, and obviously it's not an issue this season; it's an issue this summer. Is going to be, they are not keeping Fruk. They are not keeping Fruk.
No, there's no way.
You can't have him. I want him.
You can't. I ban you from having Tony Fruk anymore. That's it.
Yeah, he deserves to be on a bigger stage, and that's
where do you think he'll go?
I mean, this thing I
back to Fiorentina.
I haven't seen anyone actually linked to him.
I mean, there were links to PSG, but
yeah, no,
that's not real.
Playing. You want him to be playing. I mean, obviously, for sort of my level of scouting, I'd be like, yeah, we wouldn't really have a chance of getting him. So I think it does have to be top 5 league.
Maybe as I said, maybe back to Fiorentina.
Back to Fiorentina, or sort of thinking that sort of mid-tier French club. Like Rennes, Reims.
Yeah, Calderon.
Something like that.
What is Stade Brestois doing? Where are they this season?
On the edge of Brittany. I
Yeah,
know them
they're kind of.
geographically. That's about it.
Yeah, no. They're just outside of Europe, 4 points behind Nice, Lille, and Lyon. 5 points behind. Yeah, they're still in the fight for Europe.
Yeah, that's probably the sort of
Maybe
profile of
a little would make a good sense because they obviously played them. They scouted Fruk 100%, so maybe they could get in on it.
yeah. It's that sort of level of club. I think will be the sensible next step for him. You know, like I say, you don't want him to move on and then just be in someone's reserves. I don't think that's
No, there's
right.
not. No.
But France probably makes sense. You know, obviously Belgium love scouting.
Yeah,
Rijeka.
especially Rijeka, definitely.
So there's that as well. But I think he's above there.
I think so. I mean, if he goes to Belgium, it's gonna be a team that wins the title. I
Yeah,
think.
it'd be like you say Bruges or USG, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, firstly they've got the Rijeka. You know, obviously they'll get a windfall from that. They've got to work on replacing that and then sort of building for Champions League.
Yeah,
but
but they always do it. They always get a good squad.
They always do, but that would be a big hole because he is so good that
Yeah.
he covers for the fact that they don't have a striker. He is he's like Goretza Lovric level.
Yeah.
Is where he's at right now, and
Yeah.
you know that's so we can joke about Lovric now as to what happened, but
I think yesterday, Turkish edits of Christian Lovric started popping up on my TikTok.
I disappeared then. I was making a very good point. Lovric was so good at that point that he obscured a lot of issues in that Goretz side. And you know, when Fruk came in, he actually did a fairly passable job of not replacing his production because who could. But you know, I think that's sort of where Fruk has been full this Rijeka side. And if Rijeka were to win the title, you know, you will be looking at him. You'll be talking about him in quite a rarefied fashion as to the sort of player who has by himself decided a title. You know, whatever his career is from there doesn't really matter because his name is on not only on with a medal, his name is on that side.
Yeah,
and that's where he is sort of. And it's a terrible comparison because his career's kind of just ended straight after it, but. You know, I think Cellier in 2020, Micha Lotric. You know, that was his side, and he was so good that spring summer, as it was in the COVID. You know that you would look at it and say, right, okay, no, that's his side. You know, this is Tony Fruk's side, the same way that was Lotric's side. And I loved Lotric, so you know that for me is very big praise to be given.
Yeah, I mean, Fruk, and it's essentially a battle of Fruk Livaya at this point because both have just been this season just pulling the strings, and especially now at the end have started popping up again with crucial performances in games that just don't seem to have a way for their team to win it, and then they just pop up.
Yeah, which is it's a very nice trait to have.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think. I mean, would you say is another contender? Even I mean, Mudratia probably would have been, but like I say, it has dropped off.
He's definitely up there because he's obviously the second top goal scorer now. Mm-hmm. He's definitely up there for like let's say player of the season, but definitely Lokomotiva's best player this season. But obviously, Lokomotiva would need some kind of achievement this season for him to be in the conversation, which they're not.
Yeah. Which they're not getting. I mean, other than that, I mean, I think first half of the season, Shago, but again,
again now obviously at Hajduk
off. There's only really Fruk and Livaya who have just kept it consistent. In terms of attacking production, according to SofaScore, Baturina is top. So, what do we know?
How close is it?
Baturina 7.42. Livaya 7.4, Smolcic 7.32.
I mean, yeah, but he got transferred, so
yeah. Rakitic 7.29, Shago 7.23, Gigic 7.22.
I mean, Gigic could be up there.
and Fruk 7.22 as well. And yeah, I think Guric could be up there if you had a little comeback award.
Yeah, like if he, let's say he decides if he wins the cup for Slaven, like it's a 1-0 or like 2-1, and he scores like a brace over the two
Then yeah,
legs,
because
then
let's
yeah,
be honest, winning the cup for Slaven is
yeah, that
bigger than
definitely
winning the
gets
title
you.
for Rijeka.
Yeah,
Which is again, that's a weird statement to make, but
yeah. I mean, we'll see. This season has so many storylines that could either end in absolute heartbreak or just the biggest joy we've ever seen.
yeah, exactly. I think that's maybe when we sort of look back at this season. Yeah, and I appreciate there's one game we've not mentioned this past weekend. Brighton Gorica 0-0. That's all that needs to be mentioned about it.
But I mean, Varadin dominated, hit the post. Who had a chance? Somebody had a massive chance. I think Mamic. I think it was Mamic again.
Yeah,
I'm not sure though.
but
No,
I don't.
Duvnyak hit the post. Duvnyak hit the post. That's it. Duvnyak hit the post and just put it just on the post. But
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. Vanic was amazing again for Gorica.
I don't know if I've frozen because my image appears to have frozen from my end.
Yeah, but I still hear you.
Yeah, so we'll do the radio interview now.
We just have the picture there just
me
so
looking down.
everybody knows. It's just so
Yeah.
everybody knows what you look like.
This is the of like 1992 when they're interviewing the IRA. Put a picture up and have the covered voice. Which yes, I mean that's showing my age. But I think that's sort of the tagline for this season is it's not been good, but it has been messy.
And it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, the ending is definitely gonna be interesting because I don't think Hajduk nor Rijeka are gonna pull away.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, I think
from each other, they're probably gonna pull away from Dinamo at this rate.
Well, I mean, will they? Will they actually?
I hope
away?
so. I hope so. For once, I'm trying to be bold and actually put a prediction in. And now look at Rijeka and Hajduk just start losing, and Dinamo just starts coming back for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe this is how the season ends. You have 0-0 Rijeka Hajduk at the close, and then Dinamo just race back and last game
on the last day,
last minute.
Šibenik
scores the goal that costs.
No. Šibenik beats Hajduk to stay up. Osijek goes down.
Yeah.
Rijeka loses to Slaven, and Dinamo wins against. Who's the last game they have? It goes. Wait, who they play last? It's
they end up
Varaždin. It's Varaždin.
Yeah.
They beat Varaždin at home to win the title.
94th minute, full. Nevisic goes full Jimmy Glass. Then season ends with the title. Eric Andre show. We'll be right back. See you in July.
Yeah. Anyways, I mentioned this before the podcast to Richard, but I've bought the pack of tickets the Hajduk is selling for the last 4 home games, and I'm just hoping that we don't get Lokomotiva 2.0 from last season.
Yeah, and I did share to you what happened when I did the same last season for my local club, and they promptly lost every single game. So
they lost every game 3-0. So Hajduk, please, for my own mental sake of traveling up and down now every week, please don't do that.
It's not a massive commute.
I mean, it's not a massive commute from Dubrovnik to Split. It's 1.5 to 2 hours, probably 2.
That's doable.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you have previously been closer, but
I mean, obviously start by Ploče because all my jerseys are in Ploče, so I need to pick up one, not the Perisic one, God forbid. Even though it's hard, I loved the home kit from the last 4 years that we had it before Adidas came in. That home kit just looks very beautiful, and when I finally got it, and Richard, he's trying something. Fair enough. What was I gonna say? And the home kit just looks. Until I bought it, I didn't realize how beautiful it is. And when I got it, I was like, "Holy shit!" And it has Perisic on the back. It's so great. Like, it's the comeback of a legend, and it's the most beautiful home kit I've ever had. And now I can't wear it. I can't even fathom of looking at it. But I'll probably get. I'll decide between this year's third kit and last year's second away kit. But Richard seems to have gone. I don't know if he's gonna come back. If he does, that's gonna be great. But yeah, surely to preview this week. So the weekend starts on Friday, obviously, with Slaven Šibenik, and Richard is back.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
you're moving.
yeah. It said I tried fixing it, and then it just said we can't connect to any devices, and
Yeah, I
just
saw
sent me
that.
completely grayed out. Like, oh, okay, I'll go out and in again.
Yeah, so I was just shortly previewing before ending the episode. So Friday we have Slaven Šibenik.
Yes.
Šibenik obviously on a high, and Slaven looking to continue their form and bounce back after the loss to Hajduk. At home again, Slaven just playing at home for some reason non-stop.
Yeah. And again, that's as we know, it'll either be 0-0 and no entertainment on a Friday, or best game.
We haven't had a high-scoring game this season for like both from like two sides. The closest we've gotten, I think, is Hajduk Lokomotiva when Lokomotiva won 3-2.
I was gonna say the last. Well, so we had the Istra Lokomotiva 3-2.
Oh yeah, Istra. We had Istra
a month ago, which was the last and possibly the only decent High Friday this season.
Yeah. Anything else? Let me quickly go through. I mean, we've had Osijek Istra 2-2.
Yeah.
I just we had Istra Slaven 3-2. The late goal from Shuto to win it.
Mm-hmm.
That actually, yeah, that game was probably the best. Like high scoring game. We obviously had Osijek 4-2 against the Dinamo. That was also entertaining.
We're just reading off all the entertaining games this season. You can count them on one hand.
Lokomotiva Rijeka 2-2. Smolcic last minute goal to tie it. And Gorica Osijek could go into that with Pavlovic drawing after the Jugovic brace. But yeah, I mean, yeah. We're never gonna top the Istra Gorica match 5-4. Never gonna top that. The amount, like I remember coming back from school, because it was a Friday, obviously. High Friday produces probably that could only happen on a Friday, I think, in the High
Yeah.
A 5-4, and I'm just like, I'm tweeting. I'm like, Dari Mateus has scored, and then was it Joey Suk that scored for 5-4 just 20 seconds later?
Yeah.
The goal graphic was still going on. That Istra scored. Val Gorica won the game 5-4. So yeah, what a match. Anyways, back to this round.
Yeah, this Slaven Šibenik probably won't be that.
Listen, you never know. Gorica Istra, mentioning them at the same stadium on Saturday. Can they repeat it, but on a Saturday? I doubt it.
I mean, we could see Istra score 4.
Yeah, but I don't
think we can see Gorica score 5.
I don't see Gorica scoring 3.
No.
Not even 2, actually.
No.
But yeah. Then we have El Depresico, as I mentioned, Dinamo Osijek to win the Saturday. I don't think anybody knows how that could end. Like, it's most likely going to be a Dinamo win, but then again, Cannavaro's last game in charge, 99% certain that he's going away after that. God knows what's going to happen.
And I mean, it's sort of weird that you have, in such quick succession, 2 Italian guys, and we're both like, yeah, okay, so this is their last game in charge. They're here
and this is
past their sell-by date. They are, maybe, that pot noodle that is on the shelf that's been left there that no one wants to eat and
Yeah.
is you're going to have because the shops are closed.
Yeah.
It's that sort of level of desperation.
Yeah.
Why just sack the guy and put a caretaker in?
Yeah, and then we have the two main title contenders playing at home against Varaždin and Lokomotiva. First up, it's Rijeka Varaždin at 4, and then 6:45. I'm at Poljud for Hajduk Lokomotiva.
Yeah. So Rijeka pulling away starts here.
God forbid. If Rijeka throws the game, I can only see Hajduk doing the same, bottling it too, just to be like, hey, we're not gonna pull away. We're not that kind of people.
Yeah. I mean, it is a more difficult game for Rijeka than it is Lokomotiva. Sorry, the Rijeka than it is Hajduk even. Just from the perspective, that Varaždin, no one beats them easily.
No, nobody has gotten the number easily. Nobody.
I mean, like I say, they've conceded once in the past 4. They scored once in the past 4 as well.
I was gonna say they have 4 draws in the last 4.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of goals they score is terrible, but they still only conceded 18 times this season. That's it's a very formidable record. So it's a difficult assignment for Rijeka. For Hajduk, it's very much what Lokomotiva turn up.
Yeah, and let me quickly just see the yellow cards, because Livaya is already on his 5th, so he's one card away from getting suspended, which he needs to be very wary of. Hajduk also has Lucic, Sigur, Bamba, Kalik, and Durdov, and Kalinic, but Kalinic isn't gonna play anymore this season. Meanwhile, Rijeka has Andrić, Devetak, Majstorovic, Menlo, Rukavina, and Zlomislic.
You get it.
Very foully keepers.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway.
Yeah, like only Majstorovic would bother Rijeka, I think, if he was to go out. Everybody else you can replace.
Yeah, and for Hajduk, obviously, let's say if Livaya got booked in this game, then he's missing a trip to Varaždin, which is exactly the game you don't want him to miss.
Yeah.
So
and after, I mean, I think the best kind of way to play it, I mean, not even against Istra again, because Istra is probably going to be informed at that point when we face them. So
I think the best way is to not foul people.
I was gonna say, but I have a feeling Livaya is gonna get a foul and get a yellow, because that was the downfall of us that season with Dambruskas in charge when we beat Dinamo at Poljud with the Kalinic goal, and then in the last minute Livaya makes a foul on Dinamo's end as he pulled somebody just to take time, and then he got a yellow and was suspended for the Slaven match.
It's been the downfall every season, to be fair. It's just when Livaya doesn't play, you lose.
I mean, this season we won against Gorica, so maybe we can do it again. So maybe Livaya should again get booked before Gorica.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the strategy. But anyways. It's gonna be interesting week up ahead. Interesting weekend. I hope my trip to Split doesn't go badly. Listen, guys. Hajduk, I've spent 180 euros on these 4 tickets, please. And also, I'm very happy that Hajduk has gotten virtual tickets working, so I actually have the ticket on my phone, so I don't need to print it out. Thankfully.
Steal that guy's phone if you want to go.
If I drop it, it's a Samsung A35. Yeah, you probably won't be able to reach my Google Wallet because I think you need to have my my fingerprint. But if you can somehow get it, well
Steal that
done
guy's
you.
phone and cut his thumb off.
I think that's an easy job, 2-step plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you. Not gonna make any promise for next week, but definitely in the next 2 weeks.
Indeed.
Indeed. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.